World Cup Series tournament. This time it's between Canada and Portugal. I'm Wild Susan Boyle, and my co-host is CCO FTW.
What's up? All right, so I think we have 5 matches lined up today. One match already played off stream, I believe. You played your match, right, Jess?
Yep, I played my match against, I believe his name is Java A2091.
All right.
I
So it's,
went one win and 2 losses. He was a
yeah,
really powerful opponent.
yeah. So we
Caught
have the
me
score.
off guard.
We have the score already up. So basically, 8 matches, 7 matches left to go. To clinch this win, you need 13 points.
Yeah.
It could end up in a 12-12 tie, which I'm actually not sure what would happen at that point.
We
But
send Aravel out there, do the
oh yeah,
best of 5
of course,
again.
yeah.
He'll get it back for him.
Ariel's going in for sure. So yeah, already won 2, but there's plenty of matches left to play this for sure.
Absolutely. Today, our first match will be between Simply Moxie and Dark Paladin. You guys may know him from other battles, large tournaments, Sylph leaderboards as well.
Yeah.
And I believe they are streaming on Dark Paladin's Twitch as well,
Yep.
on Portugal's side of the tournament.
If you want to multi-twitch that can be a good way. They should be starting at the same time as we are. All right, perfect. So we're just waiting for the match to be sent. Looking at the teams, they have kind of similar teams, right? They have Venusaur, Azu, Toxicrocore. Is that? Oh, actually, he has Hypno, right? True. There was some mix-ups with the teams. True. All right, should be good.
So we're going into the first matchup. We have Simply Moxie locked into his team.
Did you see what he locked in? I wasn't paying attention. Nope. All right.
My screen got covered up with the new team that we put in. Double Grass would have been exciting to see.
For sure. Looking quickly at the teams, Sableye is like really safe here. There's nothing that really threatens it besides maybe Azu.
If
so
the Azu is not running Play Rough, which is relatively uncommon right now, it could take a little bit to... It could be a little troublesome for Dark Paladin.
True. Like, Hypno is really safe. Like, Toxicroak's a fine matchup. Marowak, obviously, really bad for Marowak. And, like, Meganium, Altaria, both of those, like, Sableye could do kind of loads of chunks of damage for sure.
For sure.
So I think I'm expecting that. Could be, like, a really good safe switch as well. And what else? I don't see any play for the Raichu, really. Like, there's really nothing you want to see. Like, Toxicroak is okay. Like, Marowak's obviously not great. And then, like, Altaria is, like, playable, I think, if you have really good IVs.
There's a lot of hard walls on both sides of this.
Yeah.
These two teams. We have Registeel hard walling the Altaria, but then we also have the Marowak hard walling back the Registeel.
Yeah.
And then we see the Sableye hard walling, Hypno hard walling, the other ghost type. Oh, we're going into the first match right now.
Venusaur lead on the Meganium. Yeah. So that's obviously a really good lead for Jack.
We have Venusaur double resisting those grass type moves, single resisted by the Meganium. We see the Meganium swap out into Altaria, counter swapped by the Azumarill, a hard counter with that double super effective Ice Beam.
Yeah, that's really obviously, like, Jack's gonna try to farm as much energy as possible because you do not want to give too much Azu health to the Meganium in the back. I think we saw the Sableye as well. So, like we were talking earlier, it's really safe. Besides, like, a couple probably besides the Azumarill, you're really good on that side.
Looking at not Dragon Silk, my bad. Dark Paladin's team right now, I'm expecting Azumarill to be in the back, so that could be
Yeah,
troublesome for the Sableye as well.
it makes sense, right? Like Azu is always a safe pick, although there's still a lot of stuff that can beat the Azu on Simply side, right? Like the Raichu, the Venusaur, obviously. Interesting that he went for a second Ice Beam. I think maybe Bubble Down there might have been better, and then just throw Ice Beams at the beginning that comes out and tries to farm.
The issue was that he swapped out a little slow against the Altaria, so it would have been really close. Although I would have decided to farm down, burnt that extra shield, have that double ice beam ready
Yeah.
for the Meganium coming in.
However, it seems like he got a shield there, so your call of the Asmeral in the back is probably right here. So he can't really switch in that Azu. So he needs this Meganium to take out that Venusaur, and obviously that's not the best matchup. He did get a Frenzy Plant bait, I believe. All right.
So we'll see if Simply Moxie is willing to spend that second shield, and he
Ooh,
takes
gets
an
Earthquake.
Earthquake.
That's rough. His Azu has barely enough health, and if we're expecting the Azu in the back, it's going to be extremely rough for the Sableye. Let's see if he's running Shadow Sneak. Oh, actually, he is running Return, and true. That could actually. I don't know how this matchup plays out, but Return does a boatload of damage to Azu. So
We're about to see. It
wow,
does close to 50%, so he'll need another return to
Slack
be able to
Swap.
knock it out.
Okay, he still has a lot of help, so this Azu has to throw.
He still has a shield currently,
Yeah,
so that means whatever's coming in, he'll still be able to make it to that return. But remember that there's still a Meganium in the back.
true, true. Ooh, he got greedy a bit there, but Azu might be in foul play range. It's gonna be close. It's probably his only win condition here is just foul play and try maybe return the
Oh, that was really close.
good counting. Uh, I don't know. I don't know how much energy this Meganium has. Goes for the foul play. It's gonna be close. Meganium's a tanky boy.
I still think he should have gone for the final return.
I agree.
It was one away.
Ooh.
Oh no.
It looked like they might have CP tied there. So I guess going the foul play was a good try. Unfortunate, right? Like landing that earthquake on the Venusaur was definitely the winning play there. I think I don't know about like giving up switch advantage, right, on the Meganium versus like the low health Azu. I still think that bubbling down that Altaria might have made more sense and try to threaten some shields with the ice beams.
I think the other right play would have been to farm down the rest of Azumarill, risk it for that
True.
double foul play or even just a single return. You
Yeah,
needed
good.
just that little bit of extra damage, which meant you needed your energy, which meant you couldn't have expended anything on that remaining Azumarill.
Yeah.
But one thing we do now know is that Dark Paladin is running Play Rough on his Azumarill.
I don't think he revealed his second moveset,
I don't believe
right?
so
I
either.
don't think we saw that. But that's a good thing to note, right? True. Yeah, true, true. So Kang's telling us that maybe since he didn't throw the ice beam on the Sableye, because he was probably pretty close to it, uh, we can probably assume that he's running Play Rough Hydro Pump, and it would be extremely risky to not run Hydro Pump. I think in this meta, there's still loads of tanks everywhere, and Play Rough kind of like if you want to run Play Rough, obviously for the Azu and the Dark types, but really it seems like the preferred moveset should be like Hydro Pump and something else usually.
For sure.
Not having Hydro Pump is can be like quite a liability. Actually, Bastiodon now beats you if you don't have Hydro Pump, and Registeel just goes to town even more. That could have also worked to try to go for the double shield on Venusaur. Kind of just a risky play, especially since he was like it was reasonable to expect the Azu in the back, so could have also worked. Same leads here.
Still a positive matchup for Simply Moxie going into this. We're expecting another swap out once he has gained enough energy.
Yep.
Possibly even a sack swap. Nope. We see Simply Moxie holding on to that energy, making his own sacrifice into the Sableye again. He should be able to win this matchup as long as he throws up his shields, because the Shadow Ball coming from the Alolan Marowak still hurts a ton.
Yeah. I don't know what's his other Pokemon here, but that Marowak basically did nothing. Interesting that he brought Marowak here, right? Like it doesn't really do much. Like even versus Venusaur, like it's a good matchup, but it's still like not the tankiest Pokemon, and especially with the return, like on Sableye, obviously he's bringing Sableye to the table here, so kind of a weird pick.
If I was in Dark Paladin's position, I would have thrown up that shield, because Alolan Marowak does have that Shadow Ball, remember? And Fire Spin
Sure.
is dealing neutral damage. It's not resisted like Hex is. You're able to force a shield. You're able to even win the matchup with those extra Fire Spins coming in before the opponent.
Yeah, because now like there's really no play here because that's like interesting play to go to Azumarill, try to just soak up the damage, but he has that Venusaur and Meganium matchup locked up in the back. There's
Absolutely.
really, yeah, should be over at this point.
You just want to maintain the best possible matchup that you have with your remaining two Pokemon versus the opponent's remaining two Pokemon. And in this scenario, you have a full health Azumarill, two shields. You can absolutely guarantee that your Venusaur wins this matchup going down the line.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
here we have the very first Sludge Bomb. I don't think he needs to bait at this point.
Yeah, just throw straight sludge bomb and just not risk it. Just shield everything. Like even the Azu has some additional energy, so probably very close to a nice beam if needed. But should be a wrap here. Interesting, no Altaria, right? Like he definitely didn't appreciate getting locked in on the Azu. I think it was a good play on Simply Moxie's side to just go run with what he had before, because probably just a mistake of not shielding that Venusaur cost him the game one.
Yeah, and we see that Earthquake, the no bait right there, being shielded and going for that final Sludge Bomb, I believe.
Should KO, right?
And that makes it 1-1. Simply Moxie versus Dark Paladin.
So 2-3 right now. So obviously, like it's gonna be close in the beginning, and like we said, we need each team needs 13 points to go through to the finals versus the winner, I believe, of USA and Israel, who made a pretty good upset versus Spain. What do you think he should play? I don't see really a point in switching up the lineup. Like the Venusaur works, the Azu works, the Sableye is putting in some work also with the return. That matchup versus Azu is actually not too bad. Um,
Considering we saw how weak Marowak was to Simply Moxie's second line in the second match, I would not be expecting that Marowak to come back in, which means we can probably let go of one of the counters that we used, which would be Azumarill or Sableye. We could probably go for something a little riskier or something more well-rounded against the rest of his team, possibly.
I think we saw him lock in Registeel, I believe, instead of the Venusaur.
So the Registeel is a relatively close matchup against the Meganium. Obviously, there's the Earthquake super effective charge attack,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have it being really hard walled by that Alolan Marowak resisting both Flash Cannon and Focus Blast. We have Toxicroak beating that matchup. We have Hypno, depending on the moveset, being able to get close to that.
Yeah, it's a definitely close matchup, basically across the boards. Great lead, however.
It's time to find out what punches that Hypno has. Swaps out immediately into an
Altaria,
Altaria, which is quite
interesting.
interesting.
Yeah, that probably means I'm guessing Meganium in the back, probably like or as like Meganium or Azu makes sense here. Um, but that's just a weird swap in. Like Altair can double shield in this matchup and do so much damage with Dragon Breaths, but he has the Sableye for the Hypno as well. I don't know.
So we
It's
are
gonna be
not
rough.
looking at a Venusaur in this team, I believe.
Yeah, he has he basically put in Registeel instead of Venusaur here.
So if we are expecting a Meganium in the back, we really, really need that Registeel and that Sableye matchup
Yeah.
to kind of pair up and take down the Meganium together.
All right. No shield. Yep. Could be
Waiting for that.
rough. And Hypno.
Comes back in with a Hypno, which is quite interesting.
So should be a Zoomerl in the back then. It could be anything, but Zoomerl is probably the most sense here because, or unless he's like really hiding that Marowak in the back for that Registeel, but I
So we see
really
the
don't see
Thunder
it.
Punch come through. We still don't know the second move, but I don't think we will have the opportunity to see it. We
Yeah,
have the Azumarill swap out into the counter of Sableye. I believe Simply Moxie is going for that bait because we now do know since the very first matchup that he is running return on that
successful.
purified Sableye.
Makes sense, right? Like after seeing how much return does to a Zoomerl, it it makes sense on Dark Paladin to want to preserve some health on that Azu, but good recognition by Simply. And now going for the return should do a massive chunk of damage, like we saw earlier, if goes unshielded.
Knowing that
Double shields.
Azumarill is not running Ice Beam as well, there is no need to fear a bait. You can straight shield as that Sableye, and
Yep.
with
Probably
this
confident.
shield,
Yeah, probably
he
win that
should be able to
matchup
win.
straight out. And that Hypno in the back is in big trouble.
I believe that
Honestly,
Hypno has a little bit of energy.
yeah, still Registeel in the back. Yeah, basically game over. Yep. So tied up 3-3. So first two matchups
Lock on
went
farm
off
down. Lock on down.
to try to be. That's actually like a good try to be apply some mental pressure for the next opponents, assuming they're watching the stream, obviously.
So we
So
have 2-1, Simply Moxie versus Dark Paladin. The total score between Canada versus Portugal is now 3-3. Our
all tied up.
next matchup will be Dragon Silk versus Ricardo N14.
All right, I believe Dragasnik has a kind of a like not super common team, I'd say. I believe he changed his team right before the deadline yesterday. I don't remember what he put in, but if I remember something weird. We'll have to see. All right, King's gonna flip it up.
While we're in the process of changing up the teams and the names, might I congratulate King on his partnership on Twitch?
True. Is it live now?
This is his very first partnered stream on Twitch, and
We're
that's
actually,
quite exciting.
yeah, quite privileged to be on it, actually.
That makes 2 partnered Twitch streamers in the past week, the first being Elfindio, also known as Ken from Seattle, and we have our very own King from Toronto streaming for you guys right now on his newly partnered Twitch account.
For sure, good for the community to just have like 2 Twitch partners. Should also, I believe it's also easier for other Pokemon Go streamers to get partnered once they see the content on other streams. Um, from my time spending with weird Twitch employees. All right, so we should have the teams up pretty soon here. Oh, okay.
So we're looking at the teams right now. It is once again Dragon Silk versus Ricardo N14. Both teams are running Hypno, as expected. Both teams are also running Azumarill.
Also
And
expected. I think
my
at this
screen is
point,
blocked.
I think at this point, not running a Azumarill is you're either trying to flex or do some sorts of challenge, uh, like Caleb Peng, for example, tried to play no Azu, no Altaria, no Registeel, no Toxicroak. 2, I'd say, mixed results. I think Azumarill is too strong in this meta to not run it.
We do see spicy picks on these 2 teams. We have Quagsire on the side of Dragon Silk, and we have a Shiftry on Ricardo N14's team.
True.
Looking at the teams right off the bat, I notice how powerful this 2-headed dragon is.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. As well as here, pretty much goes unchecked. Like, Shiftry gets destroyed, Marowak gets destroyed, Hypno gets destroyed.
We have
Azu's,
that close matchup against the Altaria. Toxicroak can't take too much damage either, and those body slams spam Azumarill quite well as well.
Yeah, I believe like basically 2 body slams, especially let's say you farm down a Hypno or the Marowak. If the Azumarill comes in, she's gonna hit like probably take 55 to 60% from those 2 body slams before reaching their own Ice Beam or Play Rough, depending on what they're running.
I'm quite liking Tropius on Dragon Silk's team as well. The only counters to that would be potentially an Ice Punch Hypno, which is relatively common nowadays. There's the Altaria and the Alolan Marowak, but all 3 of those can be checked by Dragon Silk's own Azumarill.
Yeah, I think it makes sense on Ricardo's team to run Ice Punch. Not a lot of like Altaria counters besides their own Altaria and obviously Azumarill. So could also be double punch. I know a lot of people have been running. I don't know how you feel about double punch Hypno. I know I've talked about it before in the past.
In our last set versus Chile, we did see one double punch Hypno on the opposing team. It faced off against Araville's Zweilous and didn't go too well, but
no,
there is a niche, and it catches some people off guard.
It's definitely good coverage, right? Usually they run Ice Punch and Thunder Punch, which is probably the moveset that just makes sense.
Yeah.
For the Azumarill coverage plus the Altaria Tropius coverage. Not the best lead here. Probably the worst thing you want to see with that as well as instant swap to Tropius into the Altaria after. Actually, Tropius does a lot of damage to Altaria with the Air Slash. So the Altaria is going to have to throw a move, but I don't know how committed Dragon Snake is to this matchup.
Considering how tanky Tropius is, as long as this Altaria is not throwing those sky attacks right away, this Tropius will be able to chip down this Altaria, neutral damage, Air Slash, and Aerial Ace. We see the first charge move being thrown by the Altaria, but Dragon Silk throwing up his shield, wanting to chip this Altaria down some more and possibly even burn a shield.
Yeah, he could potentially double shield here and take this matchup. It seems because that he could probably farm down. Electing to letting go and like didn't quite get maybe what he wanted. I think getting a shield might have been better than that.
He had his Leaf Blade ready, which was a little disappointing.
Yeah,
Not the best counting, but we do have the Azumarill farming down this rest of this Altaria.
gotta be rough, right? Because he exposed his last Pokemon, so now Ricardo knows obviously what's going on with Zweilous plus Azumarill. We already saw the Azumarill, so we're expecting to see the third Pokemon. It's Shiftry, but this Azumarill has a lot of energy. However, I don't think Ice Beam KOs here. Probably does like 80%.
Yeah.
Okay, we gets the shield.
I'm expecting both shields coming up on both sides, trying to win that as much leverage as they can going into the
Yeah.
last Pokemon. However, we do have a Zweilous versus an Azumarill in the back, which is extremely difficult to overcome, especially with shields down. Being double super effective to play roughs if that is there. But even
Didn't
with Ice
quite,
Beams,
yeah.
the Azumarill is in a winning position.
Didn't quite catch the charge move there on Shiftry's side. Uh,
And
yeah,
we
that's gonna
have the
delete
second
Zweilous.
reveal of Play Rough.
Interesting, right? Usually, what we see these days are Ice Beam, Hydro Pump, which, in my opinion, probably the best move set to run here. But a lot of Portugal players opting for Play Rough. And this matchup's basically over. There's no coming back from this.
Knowing these movesets and knowing which Pokemon Ricardo has preferred to use in this first matchup, what do you think his best Pokemon to use going into battle number 2 would be?
Tropius just makes sense. Once they revealed the no ice beam on Azumarill, Tropius is even safer. He's gonna need a good answer to this Altaria. Oh, he is bowed, so no Hydro Pump. However, kind of like it doesn't really help Dragonsnake, right? Like not having a tank or like a Registeel type Pokemon, it doesn't really help you that the Azumarill doesn't have Hydro Pump here. Yeah, he only has Ice Beam Play Rough, I believe. That's what we saw. True, true. King
Looking at
mentioned,
Dragon Silk's team, we don't really need. Looking at both of these teams, actually, none of these players really have the need for a Hydro Pump Azumarill. None of these players are running a Steel type Pokemon, so there's nothing that resists both Ice Beam and Play Rough, except for that Marowak we see on Ricardo's team.
yeah.
But we haven't seen that in the first match, and we do see it as the lead for the second battle.
So this matchup's pretty rough for Toxic Rogue. Mudbomb still chunks the Marowak here. Interesting. Not electing. I'm assuming no Shiftry because it would have been the obvious switch in. Yeah. I don't know. I didn't see Dragon Silk's third Pokemon, but if this Altaria in the back, it could be a problem. King mentioning it's Zweilous, so
Taking that very first Hydro Pump, I believe this matchup now is in Dragon Silk's favor. As long as he throws his first shield, he should be able to bubble down,
yeah.
which is quite advantageous, having that switch advantage.
Okay, goes for Ice Beam. I believe that Hypno can just now shield and take it. It's got to be close. No shield. It, Azu comes out. We saw the Marowak first, so with Zweilous in the back, this could be doable, but he needs to rely on Toxicroak to do as much damage as possible on that Azumarill.
The Toxicroak versus Azumarill matchup really depends on having shields, and right now at this
Yeah.
point, we have Ricardo holding on to 2 shields and Dragon Silk on his very last shield. We don't see that shield coming up
Mm.
anytime soon, but
And yeah, he has a lot of energy too. Definitely, like could have maybe bubbled down, but this is gonna be a rough matchup.
at this point, I believe shielding this Toxicroak, just straight throwing mud bombs, chipping
Yeah,
as much damage as possible, and just dragon breathing down the rest of this Azumarill when you
interesting.
get the chance to.
Yeah, interesting here. Ricardo went for play rough, so actually doesn't have that much energy left. I believe Toxicroak could be able to go
Not
double.
going for that
Hmm,
shield.
interesting.
That means there is a chance, knowing how hard um,
As well as hits, yeah.
Zweilous walls that
No shield. Interesting.
we're gonna see this
Yeah,
zero shields Zweilous take all these bone clubs, possibly even a Shadow Ball, because Shadow
yeah.
Ball is a much, much better move compared to Bone Club.
I don't think he
Um,
can tank another Shadow Ball here.
no. I
Yeah,
still think straight Dragon Breathing is the way to go because there's still a chance that you can counter the Marowak down.
that's probably Bone Club. Interesting.
Oh.
He had a lot of energy. Uh,
Oh
it's
no.
basically over. He's gonna get Shadow Ball down. There's no way you can counter down with the double resisted counter here. Yeah, Bone Club probably here.
So we're currently playing Dragon Silk versus Ricardo N14. 0 wins on Dragon Silk side and 2 wins for Ricardo. We still have one more battle between these two players, and the total score is currently at 3-5.
Yeah, kind of rough. Two rough leads, and didn't have much to get out of it. I still would like to see the Tropius here. Um, I think that shift tree probably coming back. And Zuelis is definitely not working out at the moment. Like he got basically nothing out of Zuelis in both games. He got one shot in game one, and then couldn't do much without shields there.
So both games we saw the Azumarill on Ricardo's side running Ice Beam and Play Rough, which
Yeah,
means your best counter on Dragon Silk's side of this battle would be possibly Tropius or depending on your moveset on Hypno. If he's running Thunder Punch, not taking that Hydro Pump to the face
yeah,
means you do have a much better matchup.
agreed. What do you think? I don't think he locked in Quagsire, but
I th- I think it was
yeah,
Toxicroak, Tropius, and Zweilous.
Quagsire could have had some play here, I think, but it's gonna be rough. However, there's some play here in going double sludge bomb and throwing up the shield. That matchup's actually pretty close.
I don't think you
Um,
make it to. Actually, I think you do make it to those Sludge Bomb,
y-
depending
y-
on IVs.
yeah, you should, but it looks like this Altaria is doing more damage. Maybe some attack could help, but this is
As long as he's not running, as long as Ricardo's not running that Alolan Marowak in the back, we
interesting.
can have Tropius beating the rest of the Pokemon.
True. I think I would have tried to farm down here as well as.
Yes, that
Um,
was not the right play. Knowing or predicting that Ricardo would not be running that Alolan Marowak in the back, the best
yeah.
play would be to farm down with Zweilous, body
It,
slam whatever's coming
uh,
in.
if he has no Marowak here, it's Azu. So this call, this aggressive Tropius farm might have been the winning play here.
Does this mean he has Shift Tree in the back?
It has either Shift Tree, maybe Toxicroak, but he has to have something weak to it.
Would you go for a sack swap attempt?
Uh,
This is
wow.
going to be really close because Ice Beam is relatively quick to get to as well.
Yeah, like showing the zoom reel there, it yeah, it just shows that like his backline is also weak to Tropius. He might stack swap here into the shift tree, trying to catch that leaf blade. That could be a good move. And there it is
We see the
into shift
stack
tree.
swap by Ricardo eating that leaf blade should still do a little bit of damage, but
I would try to
we
farm a bit
cannot take
here
the foul
and
play.
farm a bit and switch. Okay. This Solace is useless now. Like the only thing it needs to do is chip down the shift tree.
He needs to farm down and get to 2 body slams. Make sure the Azumarill
Oh
burns that. Oh,
Jesus!
wow.
That did a lot of damage. It actually doesn't matter, right? Like, oh, actually, this Azu could double down. Like this. Oh, this could be a problem. That
I think the right
hurricane.
play was to farm up to make sure
Okay.
he.
Oh, you can't bubble down.
Oh, man. This is really
Okay.
close.
It should be game over. Yeah. No, it doesn't have a. There's no way it has that much energy.
We have one more or 2
One,
more air slashes.
two.
CMP is all we need.
Okay.
And there we go. We have the third match going to Dragon Silk versus Ricardo N14. Total matchup is 4-5 in favor of Portugal, which
Very
means we are
close
a little
there.
bit behind.
Yeah, very close. That aggressive Tropius farm down was basically the play of the game, right? We thought it was a bad call going into Tropius, but obviously Dragon Snake just made a hard read. And if Marorak is in the back there, there's no way you're winning anyway. So
Yeah.
good play, I guess. That's the power of like neutral air slash on Altaria with the Tropius is that that matchup is still like not that bad if you have shields.
The issue with Tropius, in my opinion, is that there's so many steel types that wall off Tropius. Uh, in the previous matchup, we did not see a Registeel or a Melmetal or a Bastiodon, which is extremely favorable for a Pokemon like Tropius. But
Mm-hmm.
it is common to see those steel types, and it is extremely problematic to bring something that has no moves that deal even neutral to a steel type Pokemon.
True. Um, it, it's interesting though, like because talking about like Registeel, Melmetal, Probopass, or Bastiodon have like really easy matchups versus Tropius, but the one shield, if you choose to shield on Tropius, it's actually not that bad. The matchups like Registeel comes down with probably I'd say maybe like 10, 20 HP, so it's not too bad, but the Registeel can usually lock on down after throwing two or three flash cannon, depending on if you invest the shield. So yes, that matchup can be bad, but with energy, you can still apply some pressure because Leaf Blade's just that good.
Absolutely.
All right, so still pretty close game, right? Nobody's running away with it. A 3-0 would have been like impressive. I think going up 6-3 with 5 matches to go, that's a pretty big advantage. But we should have three more matches right now.
So currently we are going into match number 3 of the stream. Jay Cho with 09s in his name, for those who don't know, pop quiz, versus Sakamichi 14 from Portugal.
Honestly, they both have very interesting teams, right? I'm looking at the third spot, Gen 3. They're both running very uncommon picks, I'd say. The Wishcash plus the Deoxys Defense. Uh, Definitely, if you've seen teams from the Voyager Cup all month, these are not common picks for your third slot.
Personally, I like Whiscash. It goes neutral against a lot of things, and a lot of
True.
times, if you are double weak to grass type, throwing that Blizzard will be able to pull that matchup back for you. Except in this position, the opposing grass type is a Ferrothorn with that steel typing. It's taking neutral damage from that Blizzard, so it won't be able to take that out.
Yeah, and honestly, with the Bullet Seed buff, this thing you cannot sleep on. Ferrothorn is now a big spiky ball, big monster. You do not want to deal with that stuff. Especially in the Forest Cup coming up, this is going to be everywhere and on everyone's team.
What's interesting is the 4th gen pick. We
Skunk
do
Tank.
see a Frostlass on J-Cho's
Oh,
side. That is a pick you would not see almost ever in a relatively open meta. It's so weak
yeah.
to Azumarill, all
Mhm.
the other steel types, and even in positive or possibly neutral matchups, it's not tanky enough to take moves like Confusion from Hypno or counter damages from Toxicroak. And sometimes we even see the popularity of these poison dark types that we have here, Alolan Muck and Skuntank
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah, like Frostlass, like the way you play it, if you remember in the Sylph Cups, I believe it was Fusion and Timeless. It was basically try to get as much energy as possible on Frostlass while switching in. So that could kind of work in open scenarios, but you have way harder walls, and it's also very risky to switch lock your Frostlass into probably something that's not going to appreciate it. Skunk Tank absolutely destroys Frostlass. Ferrothorn does probably pretty damn good resisting the Avalanche. Quagsire can do good if it's running Stone Edge, obviously. But the Azumarill, you need so much energy to actually do something with Frostlass.
Overall, versus Sakamichi 14's team, I don't see that Frostlass coming out at all. Its only single potential positive matchup is Hypno, but even then, a Fire Punch, a Shadow Ball, all those moves hurt. We have Azumarill taking resisted damage. We have Deoxys throwing super effective rock slides, Dark type on Skuntank, Steel type on Ferrothorn, and Stone Edge on Quagsire. So not going to see that spice pick here today, most likely.
Yeah, the only situation I would see it use is probably try to double shield it or keep your shields for it in the back and try to get just like a haunter and try to play it and get it into a situation where you would have a shield advantage or a very big energy advantage. Try to farm down something. Because that Shadow Ball will still hurt the Hypno and the Deoxys defense, and potentially like the Azumarill or the other picks as well. The only thing you would never want to see is that Skunk Tank. Skunk Tank's also an interesting Gen 4 pick, right? We've seen a lot of Hypno, Azumarill, Tropius scores in this cup, and that pick alone checks all three. If you're running Poison Jab, Crunch, and Sludge Bomb, which is, I think, the optimal move set for this cup.
One thing to note is we're not looking at any hard steel tanks in these two teams as well. Same
True.
to the last one. We have a lot of anti-steel type Pokemon right now as well. We have two Mud Boys on both teams, which relatively is uncommon. We have the
Yeah.
Azumarill possibly running that Hydro Pump, but like the last previous matchup, it doesn't have very many uses against teams without those steel types.
Agreed. I could say like Quagsire could kind of work because it has that Stone Edge coverage move, but Whiscash barely has play here besides maybe that Skunk Tank.
We're
And
going into the first leads here of game number one against Cho against Sakamichi. This should be a positive matchup for Hypno, being extremely tanky and throwing those neutral damage, confusions, and shadow balls. I don't think he even needs to bait.
yeah, I wouldn't try to show your moves. Also, like this is game one, so you want to give the least amount of info to your opponent here. So
Absolutely.
no point in throwing that resisted thunder punch as well.
You see the first shield coming out by Sakamichi on that Quagsire, wanting to win that switch advantage. We have Cho throwing up his own shield, possibly a Stone Edge. It is a
Mm.
Stone Edge, and this will be the race to the second charge move. I believe the Hypno will make it to the Shadow Ball, and he does. Will we see a second shield come through?
I think you could have some merit here. Uh, Interesting. It likes to not go for it. Fairthorn. Okay, he's banking on, which would be very uncommon for a Hypno to run. Uh, but this bow seed, he cannot farm down.
Makes it to
Uh,
that final Shadow Ball. This should take a good amount of chunk of damage on that Ferrothorn. He is now sitting at 40%. That is quite a lot
Interesting.
of work this Hypno is putting in. Deciding to
Wow.
reveal his second charge move, the Thunder Punch comes through, dealing resisted damage, but I am almost for certain going to see that second shield come through. And we do.
Yeah. This Fairthorn is well over 100 energy at this point. Bow seed charges up as much as Snarl. So once you get past that 7 bullet seed, you are overcapped. So he definitely super aggressive to you here.
It
This
doesn't
is
matter which
where,
Pokemon he switches in because he resists those grass type moves, but we will see the
yeah,
second
here's the
charge move.
Thunder.
Not a Flash Cannon, it is a Thunder dealing super effective damage to Noctowl.
But knocked out
But
doesn't care. Yeah,
depending on what Sakamichi has in the back, Muck may have been the swap.
we'll see. Azu
And
and
we see
Mythor,
the
yeah.
uh,
No
with the
point in
shield up, he should still be fine. He should make it to the sludge wave in the back.
yeah. There's no point in shielding the Noctowl here. Honestly, I think just switch now and not allow maybe this Azumarill to bubble down. But there's no way that you get 2 Hydro Pumps on the Muck before it gets to a charge move. So it's gonna be tied up once again. Reveals the play
Another
rough.
play rough.
Damn, Portugal did not get the memo to not run play rough here. I don't
Well,
know if
one
I.
thing to note is that in this Pokemon Girl World Cup series, teams are allowed to change their teams and their movesets between um, between countries. So knowing that, once you see the opponent's team, knowing that they do not have a Steel type or don't have a Tropius or Altaria, you can change your movesets to whatever you'd like.
True. They have changed their movesets usually before the matches, before the teams are posted up. So usually they shouldn't have to change up the Hydro Pump, but we'll never know. There's no actual way to check.
We don't know if it's an Ice Beam or a Hydro Pump on the second move as well.
Yeah. I think you just, if you don't have Hydro Pump here, like I would show the Ice Beam only to make it seem like you have Ice Beam Hydro Pump. I don't think revealing the play rough was necessary. Like here, like the matchup was basically over. He didn't know what he had in the bag, but
Yeah.
I think just going for straight Ice Beam would make more sense. So I get the feeling that he probably has Hydro Pump and just went for the cheaper move to try to bait and maybe get the win here. All right, Hypno lead once again into the Skunk Tank. That is not what you want to see. Should be an instant swap to Noctowl. Quagsire, okay.
Quite an interesting swap. I believe Noctowl, depending on the shield scenarios, Noctowl should still come out of this ahead because those Sky Attacks. Sky Attack is one of the best charge moves in Pokemon Go PvP,
And I'm
and we have
pretty sure
Quagsire throwing those non-stab Stone Edges right back at him.
Noctowl can tank basically anything. Um, all right, shield. Wow, almost got to the Sky Attack before the second Stone Edge.
Note that these mud shots are double resisted, and one of these high energy, low damage moves, they're probably doing 1 damage each,
Oh, for sure.
meaning this Noctowl could essentially farm down if he decides to double shield, but he decides to go for the Sky Attack, and Quagsire
Okay.
throws up the second shield, wanting that switch advantage,
Mm,
throwing up that second shield on both sides. No more shields in play for this battle, and we will see Noctowl win this switch
yeah,
advantage, farming all the way down for this
Knocked Out should be able to farm down here.
50, 60 energy coming in. Let's see what comes out.
Just Sky Attack here. Okay, shows the Skunk Tank. This Skunk Tank could be problematic for the backline of Jade Cho, right? He has Muck plus plus. All right, it's gonna. Whoa! Wow.
Wow,
Good
CMP.
play. Good play on Sakamashi's side, I guess. Just good counting to throw the crunch, but that might cost him. Honestly, he needed that energy.
Going into Muck, making sure he doesn't take any super effective damage.
There's no way. There's no way he's getting flinch or yeah, Sludge Bomb. I assume as Ferthor in the back. I guess switch into Hypno and try to get a bit of energy on Muck just to make sure you're okay.
So we have seen the Thunder on this Ferrothorn. I assume the second move is most likely going to be
A Power Whip.
the
It
Power
just
Whip.
makes sense. You need that grass damage.
That is an interesting moveset to run. Not running
What?
that Power
That,
Whip.
wow. So now Wishcash could be an interesting pick because there's basically no grass type.
That is an extremely interesting decision.
Yeah.
Should be able to get to that next Thunder Punch. Doesn't even need to, and he farms it all the way down, taking the second match 2-0, Jeicho versus Sakamichi 14.
So Canada takes back the lead here. Could Yeah, definitely a critical third game here. Could be all tied up after half the matches, so there would be 4 matches left, or it could take a significant lead here. That's a real. I want to talk more about the Ferrothorn moveset, right? Like not running Power Rip here.
It
I
makes no sense to
guess
me.
I don't see where it would be good, right? Like you don't have a cheap charge move to throw, and I guess it depends on like what you want as coverage, but you have to choose between either Flash Cannon or Thunder. Like I don't see the play of not running Power Rip. Policy just doesn't do that much damage at all.
Power Whip does almost the same amount of damage Thunder does for much less energy,
Yeah,
and knowing that, you need that for Azumarill, one of the most common picks in the meta. It deals
yeah,
neutral damage against Hypno, it deals neutral damage against plenty of other things in the meta.
mhm,
Thunder does give you that advantage against steel types. You're not throwing grass or steel types at steel types, but
yeah.
you do lose more neutral matchups having Thunder instead of
I'm
Flash
actually
Cannon.
I'm actually curious. What do you think what happens in the Wishcash matchup? Does Wishcash now take that matchup?
I would think so because Bullet Seed just doesn't do very much damage.
Yeah, I assume Flash Cannon is the way to go here. Just big step damage. You hit it.
Absolutely.
You get to it pretty fast. Also with these new bullet seeds.
Flash Cannon does almost 15, 20 more damage than Thunder for
Oh well.
relatively close energy. But considering J-Cho is running Thunder Punch, not Fire Punch or Ice Punch for that neutral damage, we see J-Cho going for straight Shadow Balls, possibly all the way through. And he has shown that Thunder Punch.
Yeah. Like the thing is like how much energy is Power Whip less than Flash Cannon? Is it like 15 less? I think. Yeah. So still pretty significant. That's like one more than one bullet seed, since bullet seed is
Did you see what
13.
I just saw? He threw a Thunder instead of a Flash Cannon just now.
Interesting.
That is.
So
Would you not
Thunder's
go for straight Thunder from the beginning then? Since you
yeah,
need two charge moves to KO in the first place.
That's a really interesting play. So Thunder is 60 energy, so it would make sense to just throw straight Thunder. I don't see the point in throwing Flash Cannon.
With this much energy on Noctowl, I believe this is a favorable matchup for Noctowl as well, regardless of the opposing Hypno's charge moves.
Yeah, I don't think we saw either of the punches. Ooh, nice
These are
switch.
two
Like,
Battle of the Tanks. He does not want to take any super effective charge moves or take any chances. Makes that swag swap into that Alolan Muck.
Thunder
We see the
punch.
opposing opponent swap into that super effective ground type moves,
Hmm.
going into Quagsire. Will be taking those Dark Pulses, takes neutral damage. Two, I believe, is enough, and he has quite a bit of energy before swapping into that.
Yeah, the problem is like you still have to deal with that Hypno in the back and Earthquake. That Noctowl has a lot of energy. I don't think you can afford to take a Stone Edge here. Yep, throws the
You
energy.
cannot, but you can afford to farm.
Yeah,
Personally, I think I would farm even harder because you are
he still
taking
has like
no
yeah, he has a lot of energy still.
you're taking no damage from the mud shots, but you're
True.
taking more damage from the confusions. And I believe a Stone Edge would do tons more damage than a Thunder Punch
A
would.
Thunder Punch, right? I believe like he's up to a Psychic. That means he has at least a couple wing attacks extra here. I don't know if Sky Attack kills from that range, but oh
He would need a couple
yeah,
more wing attacks, I believe.
I don't think Thunder Punch kills from there. Noctowl's just such a beast. It's gonna be close. One oh
And
wow.
that is a clutch wing attack down
Yeah.
3-0 for JHO versus Sakamichi 14. This would make the total
7-5. 7-5
7
now.
to
Yeah,
5
7-5
in
now.
favor of Canada.
That's a clutch win. And the thing is, he threw that second to last sky attack. He threw in the middle of the confusion. So that Hypno got a confusion through. And so those last couple wing attacks were at the barely at the end of the confusion animation. So I'm assuming Sakamichi was spamming the Thunder Punch, but just barely couldn't get there.
Even at CMP, I believe Hypno is just too tanky and would lose that CMP.
Yeah, the thing is, like, he got wing attack down, so it was like, can he get to the Thunder Punch before that last wing attack damage applies? So, oh, true, true.
Uh,
Uh,
Going into round number 4 for this stream, we have Holden McNugget versus the Yellow Ripper. For your information, we have just heard that Holden McNugget's phone is extremely laggy, so bear with us while we play through these 3 battles, and they'll be eventful nonetheless, but a little laggy still.
for sure. Um, I believe teams are correct here. So another Skunk Tank coming up.
We do see our steel types
Yeah,
back in
finally.
play. And this time it's 2 steel types on Holden McNugget's side and none on Yellow Ripper. Interestingly enough, no Toxicroaks, but we do have 2 counter users on in play still. We have the
Mhm.
Deoxys and we have the Scrafty.
It's gonna be an interesting matchup, right? Because those steel types, like Scrafty, obviously a massive tank, is gonna be a big threat.
It
However,
counters 5 of Holden McNugget's Pokemon.
yeah, well, Scrafty beats obviously beats Hypno. It beats Bastiodon. It beats Ferrothorn. It beats Sableye. I think that matchup versus Deoxys defense is still pretty close.
Depending on IVs, the Scraft depending on energy as well, Scrafty could win the 1 shield, but for sure wins the 0 shield.
Okay, makes sense. I think the two shield might be just like too much counter damage to
Yeah.
absorb. Obviously, depending on baits, like Scrafty is a very bait dependent Pokemon, but the longer you let it go, usually it's gonna get a couple power up punch. And Scrafty in the 2 shield, if you let it kill your first Pokemon, it could be very dangerous with all that counter damage that's ramped up.
If
Uh,
you're lucky enough to lock it down with that Azumarill, you wouldn't have to worry about it at all.
True, true. That's your biggest counter right there. But it could be a problem as the lead. I am myself running Scrafty, and once you see those kind of teams where Scrafty does really well in the lead, it just makes sense to lead it. So it's gonna be like a battle of the leads here. Probably is can you catch the Scrafty on the Zumo?
Knowing how powerful Scrafty is, would you bring both Azumarill and Deoxys as Holden McNuggets?
Looking at the rest of the team, there would be one problem, and it would probably be Skunk Tank, right? Like Skunk Tank would be very annoying to deal with if you decide to go for that core. Meganium would also be very annoying. So obviously you don't want to see that Scrafty, but it's also there as really good bench pressure, and it's gonna put Holden in kind of a tricky situation depending on team comps. Um, Okay, so Kiang just looked it up, and he's saying that like Deoxys defense beats Scrafty in most situations, even depending on IVs. Also, I know like bait dependent is extremely important in that matchup because if you shield a power up punch, you're kind of in trouble once you go from there. Holden showing off his Wobbuffet.
Hey,
Yeah.
Holden, I don't think that name's appropriate. You might need to rename that.
Oops. That's his fault for being too good at Gold Battle League. Definitely got seen by Michael on the leaderboard and got
Maybe
smited.
he beat Michael several times on his way up, and Michael just got
Ooh.
upset.
Michael's like, nah, I don't like your name. Bye bye. That actually would make sense. Uh, Michael, obviously a very good battler from Niantic.
So we see the battle just sent and insta lock in. I'm not quite sure what I just saw.
Yeah, I think he tried to fake out the stream there.
Oh, they're going straight in. Both players locked in instantly. We have Deoxys versus Meganium in the lead. This is a favorable matchup for the opponent, going for those very powerful Community Day frenzy plants.
Yeah.
We see no Psycho Boost on the side of Holden McNuggets, going straight for the rock slides. And I do not believe we will be seeing any shields anytime. I was
Ooh,
wrong.
you got instantly denied there. Interesting, right? Like I don't know why you would shield there. Like Meginim's such a tanky like Pokemon that I don't know. Maybe he really wants to win the lead, but that was really a questionable shield because as you can see, he got to 2 Frenzy Plants before Holden even got to 2 Rock Slides.
Winning this lead is quite important considering he has Ferrothorn in the back, which
Mm,
means it can be farmed down by Scrafty again. Like we said, it is a massive problem for Holden McNugget's team. Not getting that in the lead or not winning the switch advantage will be very problematic for him.
yeah, he tried to sack swap or to catch the Frenzy Plant with probably the Ferrothorn there and couldn't quite pull it off, so had to commit another shield. This could be interesting because it could be a crucial decision on Yellow Ripper. A lot lets it go. So
Decides to take the shield advantage, but losing the swap, which means if the opponent is running Scraftian back, can be absolutely walled by the Azumarill. But knowing that the
mm,
Skuntank's coming out, we have Ferrothorn coming back in.
and no, and there's no way it's carrying Flamethrower, right? Like he has to switch. If he's carrying Flamethrower, this Ferrothorn's about to get absolutely exploded. Oh,
Okay. It
crunch.
felt it felt too soon to be a flamethrower, but we could never know.
Yeah, he had a lot of energy there. Okay, so this Lash Cannon will actually do probably almost with Skunk Tank's health if it lands. Goes shielded. Oh,
He's anticipating the swap.
Yeah, he's slightly miscounting those swaps. Should survive because Ferrothorn's just such a beast. Ooh, he actually dies there.
Double swap. That is quite interesting.
Well,
Knowing that this just happened, Holden McGroin could undercharge his charge move, farm down the rest of Scrafty, and possibly go for a KO coming in on the Skunk Tank that has a little
ooh,
bit of energy still.
he is not running Hydro Pump. I just saw. He's also running the Ice Beam Play Rough moveset.
I would throw the Ice Beam and Bubble all the way down if I were him.
Yeah, foul plays are gonna start to add up.
Undercharge! Come on.
Okay, going for a nice.
Oh,
Oh, did way too much damage. It's gonna be close. Oh, loses the CMP, but he had Play Rough there ready, but just click the Ice Beam trying to get to it. But that Sludge Bomb's gonna take it.
that was such a close matchup.
Yep. I think having Hydro Pump might have been like I well actually it didn't really matter. I think going for the Ice Beam might have been the play. Like fully charged Ice Beam, try to bubble down.
Yeah.
Because that Skunk Tank was definitely not at Sludge Bomb. It was close, but it was not at it. It needed a couple more poison jabs.
We saw Holden McGroin go for that undercharge, but he did tap a couple more bubbles on the way out, which Scrafty is double super effective weak to these fairy type moves, being both dark type and a fighting type.
Yeah.
And each bubble does do exponentially more damage.
Mhm.
Having miscalculated that, he knocked out the Scrafty, was unable to get to his player fun time. Do you think that would have KO'd?
For sure. I think so.
Just over
It's
50?
Yeah, I think it does about like 55 or like 60, probably really close to that. And Skunk Tank just takes neutral damage, so I think that would have been enough. Oh, so correction. It apparently just does under half, so it would not have KO'd regardless. Uh,
Darn.
man. Well, the thing is, he tried to switch Ferrothorn, but Ferrothorn actually died before he switched. Interesting to see how he adjusts. I'm curious to see all these Azumarill not running Hydro Pump. I don't know. I feel like maybe I don't maybe a resurgence, maybe a late switch in the meta, but really Hydro Pump's just really important.
So, like we predicted, we saw the Scrafty, and we
Oh, that's a rough
saw the
lane.
two Pokemon that beat both Meganium. Beat both Azumarill and Deoxys. We see Scrafty coming again, and I think it's fairly safe to say we're expecting to see both Meganium and Skuntank in the back.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense. Like, no point bringing Altaria here. No point really in bringing Hypno. Maybe an Azumarill, but it doesn't really make sense team comp wise. All right, gets one shield, but he's gonna get farmed down. Yeah. Ooh, he has Bastiodon in the back. So actually, Bastiodon doesn't do that bad versus that Hypno, Altaria, or Skunk Tank. So if he can catch that, the problem is if Meganium's in the back, he's in a rough spot.
The thing is, we have now picked off the Scrafty per se, which
Yeah.
means we can safely assume Bastiodon can, farm down one Pokemon and possibly chip down the next.
The
If
the the problem is that Scrafty, those foul plays are starting to add up, and that's the thing about Scrafty in the lead. If it catches a good matchup, it starts to ramp up, and look at that damage. Wow. So that's the power of Scrafty in the lead. Like, and if that Scrafty, like, super ramped up, gets on the. Oh, let's go. Could have got on the Bastiodon, but. Okay, Skunk Tank.
I think it's safe to say we'll see the swap into Meganium, go straight for those.
Is it not Meganium? Hypno?
There is
There's no
no
way.
swap coming through.
There's no way it's Altaria, right? That would be very rough.
We see the swap, and it
Meganium.
is Meganium.
He actually has some energy here. Like there could be a play to just like he's already at flamethrower.
Absolutely. He, having not swapped out immediately, he gave the Bastion a
Yeah.
couple smackdowns worth of energy. He should be able to get to
You should be able to double
2
shield here.
flamethrowers.
Yeah. I think it's going to be close. We should get to the flamethrower before the Megi. Ooh.
It's going to be a Frenzy Plant.
Yeah, but he has the shield. He can't.
Yeah.
It's going to be rough. I don't know how much damage this flamethrower does to Meganium.
I would assume 40%. We have 2 tanks going at it.
Oh, it's going to be super close.
Oh,
Rough. That's got to be a Frenzy Plant. But that Skunk Tank is going to be able to get to a crunch. Swaps back in. And then crunch. Yeah, crunch is going to take it. So tied at 7.
So we have just gone through our first 2 battles between Holden McGroin and the Yellow Ripper. Currently at 2 wins versus 0 in favor of the Yellow Ripper. Our total points currently is 7-7. Currently tied in this Pokemon Go World Cup Series. This is, I believe, is the semifinals.
Yes. So winner would go to the finals versus the
whoever
winner.
Wins the other.
Yeah, which would be USA or Israel.
How many total countries are participating in this?
I think there was 21 in stage 1, and it got cut to a top 8 after all the 24 groups played it out. Interesting. Yeah, it's a definitely a huge tournament. Was definitely a lot of fun, and these finals and these other matchups in the semis are going to be fun. I believe they're streaming tonight. Can confirm Sunday afternoon, actually. So so tomorrow, North American time, Sunday afternoon.
Considering we have 21 countries and 8 players in each country, we have 168 players in total. That can be considered a mega tournament, except this one are handpicked by each country, their best or top 8 players, or who's available. I guess.
Yeah, because there was definitely some left out. I think Chile had maybe out of their 12 battlers that were elite, I think they just only had 6. But I think everyone was basically picked whoever was available. Because if you look at, let's say, the Canada leaderboard, we didn't pick the top 8. We picked whoever was available or responded or was forced into this, like Chess. Eventually. It's all good. It's your last tournament now?
Yeah.
Or retiring into heaven or something.
Wait. Did you just say into heaven?
Yeah, into coaching heaven or CSGO or Valorant. No, Valorant heaven.
I played a couple of Valorant games. It was all right.
A couple games? I'm sure you've been playing a lot. Oh, actually, you have finals still, so.
I just finished last night.
Oh, then you played
so
all
I'm free. No.
All right.
So we have locked in on the side of Holden McNuggets, waiting for the Yellow Ripper to lock in into this final match between Holden McNuggets versus the Yellow Ripper, which would be round 4 of 5 that we have for you on stream today, which means the stream will be on for another 30-40 minutes approximately.
Maybe a bit more depending on interviews. If we talk to players, we will see how it goes. Unfortunately, we will not be able to see the conclusion of this game because no one can actually clinch now since there's only 4 points left to be gained.
We have the same leads as game 1. We have Defense Deoxys versus the Meganium. It'll be interesting to see if they decide to throw the shields early like they did last game, or it looks like Hold McGroin's looking for that sack swap into
Mm,
Ferrothorn as he does.
and here
Does
comes
not
the
manage to pull it
Scrafty.
off. Goes
And
straight for the Flash Cannon.
this is gonna be rough because, like I said, like we saw earlier, Scrafty is gonna get probably two power up punches here, and it's gonna absolutely go to town on the back line of Holden.
How do we deal with Meganium in the back now?
Um, yeah, he has energy on Deoxys, but unless he gets a significant shield advantage, it's gonna be rough.
Meganium swapped out with energy as well. He didn't
Yes.
manage to pull the sack swap in time. So this will put Holden McNuggets in a very difficult position.
Brings out Azu makes sense, but this Scrafty is gonna be able to get like still some good chip damage with foul play, and like you said, we're definitely expecting the Meganium to come back. Well, yeah, we gang mentioning we're like we assume it has the skunk thing, and here it is. All right, shields to play rough. Now this Deoxys has a lot of energy, but it will not be able to tank any crunch. This game is gonna be very rough, and Kiang already updating the score, not believing at all.
We do see Holden McNuggets throw out that shield, though, wanting to preserve that Deoxys for that second charge move he had already before he swapped out. But knowing that the Deoxys has all this energy, Meganium has just as much, if
Mm.
not more.
Yeah, plus it still has that shield, so and I don't think he can get to that rock slide. Maybe, but even then, it won't matter. Ooh,
Uh,
what did he switch
I
in?
think he came out with Meganium and then instantly swapped into the Scrafty. Yes,
Wow, what a play!
that is
I think that's even like
impressive.
kind of disrespectful because there was no need to do that. I think
I think if he did not throw that rock slide and failed the sack swap, there was actually a chance
the thing is
he
like
could have come
there's
back
no way
out.
like Meganium doesn't shield the rock slide, knowing that Azumarill has energy in the back. Yeah, that's game over. So back to back 3-0s, one from Canada and one right back from Portugal to take back the lead. This is going to be quite an interesting last game we have here. Unfortunately, we still have two matches left to be played off stream. I believe very cool guy Noah versus I'm not sure who his opponent is, and I will have to play as well.
I'll pull it up right now. We have very cool guy Noah versus Malipi96, and we have CCO FTW versus Senor Baloka.
True, true. Those matches should be played tomorrow, I think.
So our final match on stream for you today is Aravel versus Babu? Bubble 10?
I think Babu 10 makes sense, but we could be totally wrong here. Bobby EU 10. I don't know. We need maybe some capitalizations in that name to help us.
Yeah, I capitalized every word in my name to make sure you guys pronounced it properly. You should do me the favor of doing, you know.
Your name is quite nice, actually. I like that name.
Where'd you get your name from?
It's boring. It's just my initials plus
For the win?
for the win. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think just CCO is fine. I think it's easy to remember. All right, let's look at those teams. No steal once again. Like,
We have Aravel's infamous
Jirachi.
Jirachi.
The Jirachi, true.
But unlike most positive fighting matchups that you have with Jirachi, we are once again faced with another Scrafty.
Yeah, Jirachi really isn't too good here. Me and Errol were talking strategy last night, and this Jirachi does not appreciate Stunfisk. Neither does it appreciate Scrafty or Skunk Tank. There's a lot of stuff here that Jirachi does not want to see.
Yes, if you guys can't really tell what that Pokemon on the bottom right is, that it's that flat thing over there, that is a Stunfisk, like CCO just mentioned.
Yeah.
Um, it is one of the newer Pokemons we have in Pokemon Go, and it has an incredible move set. Thundershock, Mudshot, both high energy moves, with paired with that Mud Bomb and Discharge, breaking the meta, destroying both the water types and the tanks and flying types all together.
Yeah, it's a really interesting mon. I think it got a lot of traction once it was released, right? Like I saw a lot of meme pictures of Azumarill Registeel just shaken in fear at the release of Stunfisk. Unfortunately, I think it was kind of overhyped, right? It does like the similar job of a Mud Boy without having, let's say, like that hard hitting move of like Earthquake for Swampert or Blizzard for Wishcash. Plus, not being a water type itself, it's actually like it still has that ground weaknesses of water and ice, and that actually makes the Azumarill matchup very close. It's very energy dependent. That's for sure.
Absolutely. We have that most hype matchup between Stunfisk versus Azumarill, but in reality, we have super effective moves coming out from both sides of these Pokemon.
Yeah.
And in most scenarios, depending on IVs, we have the Azumarill coming out on top. So we are going into the pick phase of match number 5 and game number 1. Looking right off the bat, we have Airville locking into the two-headed dragon, Venusaur, and Azumarill, buddy boosted.
Yeah, he recently switched his Azumarill. He had a really bad IV1, and I think last time we saw him on stream, he was using that old Azumarill, and he got flamed in the chat for having absolutely garbage Azumarill IVs. I think you were part of that. I see you smirking over there. Uh, but now it's a really tanky Azumarill, that's for sure.
Right off the bat, we have a terrible lead. A dragon
Yeah.
does not want to be faced off and against Azumarill. He swaps into his own Azumarill. We see the Ice Beam and Hydro Pump. Would it be safe to say the opponent has Play Rough as well?
Probably, right? Like every Portugal player that we've seen has had like that player of Azumarill. The thing that's really good here is Azumarill switching is actually quite strong versus that team. Besides the Skunk Tank, there's nothing that really can handle that Azumarill with energy. And even Skunk
We see a Shadow Ball, which means he has no Thunder Punch.
Tank,
So theoretically, the Azumarill should win this matchup
yeah.
and regain switch advantage.
Oh, he went for Ice Beam. Probably, right? There's no way that's just another Shadow Ball. Yeah, Ice Punch.
So we find out what that second move is. The Hypno will take a couple more confusions and farm down this
Yeah.
Azumarill. Coming in will most likely be the well, absolutely would be the
Zweilous. There's
Zweilous.
no way you bring in Venusaur here.
Um, farming all that all the way down, but we do have the Ice Punch coming through, dealing close to 50% of Zweilous' HP.
It's actually quite risky because if it's Tropius in the back, or even Skunk Tank, you would kind of be in trouble here. Uh,
I don't think it's a Tropius, considering he
nah.
decided not to swap into
Yeah.
Tropius versus the Azumarill.
Oh, it is
Oh my, it is
Tropius.
a Tropius.
However, those two Sludge Bombs are gonna hurt because he has a lot of energy.
On top of that, we are still a shield up on the side of Airville. So if he's able to make it to the second Sludge Bomb while protecting this Venusaur, he may get to Frenzy Plant for the Azumarill as well.
That yeah, that's the thing is this Sludge Bomb is gonna maybe put like Tropius with 20% health left, and he's gonna get farmed down. Ooh, okay, Thor's that's actually real. That's actually not bad for Ariel. I would not shield here and farm down with Zwelis, but he's gonna need a lot of body slams. He needs the farm down here.
He's
Okay,
going to
Kenset.
need 4 body slams, I believe, to take it out.
He
And
probably
this
had
Azumarill has energy.
he probably has 2 right now. He's gonna maybe fall just a bit short. Okay. Yeah, probably needs 2 more after this one, and it. Yeah, maybe if shield. I don't know. Like that dragon breath damage is even though it's resisted, it's still gonna be. Yeah, the Azumarill should be able to get to the second ice beam before the body slam. Oh wow, that's really close, but should it gets the ice
Oh,
beam.
would Dark Pulse do more damage?
I don't
Even
think
though it
so.
is resisted, would it do like
Okay, so Kiang's saying it does the same damage, but obviously body slam way cheaper than Dark Pulse.
but if it has close to the same DPE, oh no, oh they do exactly the same amount of damage. So
Yeah.
okay.
Uh, so Kiang's saying that maybe try to keep that Venusaur and try to swap it out after that Leaf Blade that went unshielded. But Venusaur had like really low HP at that point. He maybe could have got like I didn't see the switch clock obviously on the corner, but it must have been pretty close. You're right. That's a big win for Portugal because it's now 9-7. All right, Jirachi lead into Scrafty. This is horrible.
So we do see the Jirachi coming out into a pretty poor matchup. Scrafty taking resisted damage because of its dark typing, and Jirachi taking that neutral counter damage, which is something that no Pokemon really wants to take. Counter is a very powerful move and
Yeah,
considerably one of the best fast attacks in the entire game.
interesting shield here. I don't know what
I
you're
agree.
trying. Yeah. Oh, good shield, good shield. But I don't know what you're trying to like achieve here because
A
even
Meteor Mash
that,
will not KO.
yeah, Doom Desire, but same thing, right? It shouldn't KO here.
Or is he just
That
trying to force
oh
shields?
yeah, I wouldn't shield here. It's got to be close actually. Okay. Farm down with the Azumarill, but actually farm down with Azumarill makes a lot of sense here. And this Azumarill with energy, uh, gonna be rough to deal with. He actually swapped out. That's a big mistake because that Zwelis is gonna go to town here. I don't see why you would save the Scrafty here. It makes no sense. It's so low. It's so low HP.
If he has Tropius in the back, he draws out the Tropius counter, but at the same time, the Swilus is still going to take out this Hypno, have residual energy, be able to Dragon Breath that Scrafty too.
Yeah, but that Scrafty probably has a foul play, but even then, it's going to be resistant on both like Aravel's remaining Pokemon. It could be a Azumarill here, like
Would you go straight for Body Slam?
it's Tropius. That's going to do a lot of damage, and Tropius cannot one shot Azumarill. Interesting, no shield.
Azumarill still has energy. I believe
Yeah,
one Ice Beam ready.
it has at least one Ice Beam. Let's see.
Dystropius is going to have to throw charge move,
Oh,
otherwise he's going to burn that shield.
and that's game actually. Like not throwing there and allowing the as well as to get to that third body slam is going to force the shield. Oh, they CMP
Going for that
tied.
CMP tie, which means that energy is gone,
Yeah, it's
which
over.
means he won't be able to throw two back-to-back leaf blades,
Even
which
then,
would
like
likely mean that Ice Beam is coming out immediately. He doesn't even throw
bubble
the Ice
down.
Beam, just bubbles down and
Oh,
knocks out the last Pokemon on the side of Babu 10.
I think yeah. I think Hydro Pump there just for the mental damage would have been better.
Mental damage.
Yeah, it's a smash term. Okay, so this game is really important because if Portugal gets up to 10-8 here, that means any 3-0 would close out would actually close out this set. Um, so this tie is actually pretty important considering we're going to have two matches left to be played.
We see the same lineup that he locked in into game number 2. And
It,
he
it,
does.
yeah, it wasn't too bad actually. Like that Jirachi did pretty good versus the Scrafty. I was very surprised.
I agree. We
Tropius,
get a
that's
good
a
positive
big lead.
matchup. The
Yeah,
steel typing resists the flying and the grass type moves coming from that Tropius.
Hypno.
And we have the hard counter swapping in Zweilous versus the Hypno. Although there's that Ice Punch coming out from that Hypno, we do have the Dark type double resisting the confusion damages,
Yeah,
going for that spam body slam before
that,
the
that,
Ice
that
Punch comes through.
that's the play you have to do with Silas. Everyone was trying to teach me how to play it, I guess, and most of the time going for a body slam and knowing that your opponent won't shield, it can allow you to farm down with Dragon Breaths.
He puts up the shield, makes sure he wins the switch advantage. He definitely does not want to see that Tropius versus the Azumarill.
Yeah,
But knowing that his first two lines in the first two games, Babel probably has the Scrafty or Azumarill coming in. He comes back in with that Tropius, which is extremely interesting.
yeah. What could he have in the back? I guess he just doesn't want to show his last Pokemon. Um, that's a really interesting play. Oh, we swapped. Did he? I can't tell with
I
that.
could not see.
Yeah, no, he stayed in. Okay, it's really annoying. The camera now just like not showing you anything. Oh,
He
we
does make the
did
swap this
swap.
time.
Interesting. That Tropius has a lot of energy in the back. I'm thinking just Jirachi, yeah, and just apply as much pressure as you can. No, I think Jirachi made
Personally, I would have gone for the Azumarill.
because the Tropius has like very little HP, and you still have that Dwellus in the back. Yeah, Ice Beam play rough, I assume. So maybe made a read based on like the other Portugal players, no Hydro Pump, and these Doom Desires are going to start to add up.
This
No,
Doom's Desire should be really close to knocking out.
no, I think it does like 35-ish%, so it shouldn't KO here. Oh wow,
One
Jesus!
more confusion. The opponent does get to a final charge attack, most likely going to be an Ice Beam, but you know how it goes. I'm always wrong with these. It is
Oh,
a
Hydro Pump.
Hydro Pump.
Okay, I'm thinking Azumarill farm down, and then because
One
Azumarill
bubble's
will
enough.
live. Yeah.
He catches the leap.
Oh no,
Nope.
he didn't.
Wait. Oh my
Uh,
god.
no, because he's gonna be able to tank two Leaf Blades.
Depending on IVs, but he does have that buddy
Yeah,
boosted one,
yeah.
which
That
puts
that
him in
that.
a really good
Yeah,
position.
he got a second bubble through. He might be able to bubble down. We'll see. It's gonna be very close. He has Ice Beam. Nice, no throwing of a bubble there. He just waited for the Ice Beam to come up, knowing that he already had the energy. And should be a bubble down here.
One bubble closes out the final match of the day. Araville going 2-1 versus Babel 10, and that would close out the current scores at 9-9 with 2 matches left to play by both CCO and very cool guy Noah in the semifinals of Pokemon Go World Cup Series.
Damn, that's gonna put a lot of pressure on both like 2 remaining players on each side, including myself. So should be interesting. Unfortunately, we were not able to schedule those matches today because of the time differences. It's actually quite hard for people that work full time still. Let's see. I think we'll have some players join us here.
Yep.
In a moment.
So Araville has to leave, so we will not be seeing him join this call, but we are trying to pull the other players of Team Canada onto this call, interview them for a little bit.
Yeah, it's not bad. If you have any questions, yeah. True. The chat is insanely behind.
Oh, hey, J-Farm is rating.
Yeah, the thing is that was 10 minutes ago. 10 minutes ago. That's kind of awkward for that. Wow, that was that fast? Interesting. We can watch the chat reaction live. True. Well, Araville is pretty shy as well. It's just like he's been in the spotlight a couple times now. Maybe he's used to it. Yeah.
Simply Moxie for sure.
Not joining.
Is not the fan of the spotlight.
Yeah. True. Toronto. Sure.
Okay, so what do you guys think of the very close? So I think the score on stream was 8 points for Canada, 7 points for Portugal. We basically saw a back and forth, right? Like 2-1 for Simply Moxie, 2-1 for Portugal, 3-0 for Canada, 3-0 for 3-0 for Portugal, and then 2-1 for Canada.
That last 2-1 basically matched Chas's match off stream.
Exactly. So
1-2 for Portugal.
This is 2 very close countries, right? Obviously, if it goes 2-1 on either side for the first match, maybe we can try to stream the final set, but we'll see.
For sure.
Looks like we have someone joining us.
That would be Holden, I think. Holden McNuggets, probably.
Holden?
He's gonna figure it out. His name actually just makes me want to go eat McDonald's right now. That's the annoying part. Actually, it's a mental game. Like because his new name is now Holden McNuggets. You make your opponent think that he's hungry, and then they want to eat, and they're off focus when they play it out.
Holden, are you on stream?
Wait, Holden McGrind doesn't make you hungry?
I guess it's a different kind of hungry.
I don't want to lose my Twitch partnership on day number 1, right?
Trying to kill the streams right off. Straight off. Just
abort.
Abort indeed. Abort mission.
Okay, Holden. Can you hear us?
Yep.
Yeah, he's right there. You had a rough matchup.
Man, I lost every lead. If I led with the Fairthorn on the first and third, and then went with the Deoxys in the second, I would have been in a better situation. But Scrafty and McGanium has given me so many issues the past month. I tried to try a little bit of spice with Hypno using Psyshock and Focus Blast, and trying to Focus Blast the Scrafty. Unfortunately, just because he was bringing Skuntank every time, I never really had a chance to use it.
Okay, we also have Simply Moxie here.
Hey.
How was your match?
Yeah, it was good.
Very close. Okay, walk us through the first game. I figured you predicted that there was going to be a zoom roll in the back.
I feel like he would bring a Zoomerl and Meganium. So if I was going to use Venusaur in the lead, it would maybe have positive out of the 3 teammates. So that's the reasoning why I led Venusaur.
Makes sense. Venusaur had. I think the game 1 was the earthquake hitting the Venusaur, right?
Yeah, I actually thought I would live that, but I guess I was wrong. Like I knew it does around like 55% or something, but I was way too close. So that was definitely like too risky of no shield for me. So that was my blunder.
Yeah. I thought you would have won the match if you would have shielded.
For sure. Yeah.
You could just frenzy planted later.
That's actually that could be an important point lost in the final count. We'll see how the last 2 matches pan out here.
Well, I'm happy to have like just won. Like honestly, my opponent was like a really good player as well, right? So I have to give the credit to him as well.
Like at this point, at this stage of the tournament, you're gonna play like very good players. Like after the top 8 cut, like these players, yes, we're playing as a team, but they also played individually in their own groups. So obviously, everyone in those teams should have done pretty good in those groups to at least make it out in top 8.
For sure, yeah, it's a good point.
So right now we have 4 teams left, each team with 8 players, all from around the world. We have Portugal, we have Canada, we have USA, and I believe we have Israel. All of these players are at the top of their community. Are there any people that you guys are particularly scared to face in either USA or Israel's team?
I can speak for myself. I don't think I'm scared of anyone. Obviously, you have some big names on USA, right? Like you have the Elite Four, you have Caleb, you have Cody, you have Ace Leader Sky. Like all these names are really high up there in the self leaderboards. But at the end of the day, you're playing another human, so everyone can make mistakes. Nobody's a robot, and nobody like.
And to be honest, we still have 2 really tough matches ahead of us, right? So it's far from a given.
So
right?
We have to clutch this set out before thinking about our opponents in the back for sure.
Yeah, but so Jack, I'm sure you watched the battles. What did you think of them? So many of them carrying Play Rough.
It was interesting.
That's a good quote.
I think they did a really good job of customizing their movesets for their opponents, as opposed to a general tournament. Like you're battling.
I think if you are allowed to tech against your opponents or tailor your team, then it's definitely a really good call.
Yeah, I think maybe one consideration is to have them lock in movesets, not just Pokemon, because then you kind of tech up, which is okay too if that's what you're going for. But I think certainly it certainly changes the dynamic, because certainly in some of the matchups there was no steel tanks. There was very little steel tanks on Canada's side. So
yeah, we were super surprised. I was super surprised when I saw Play Rough and then Ice Beam.
Yeah, but it made sense. It made sense against the opponent.
It makes sense. Like if you know your opponent's lineup, you don't need Hydro Bump, right? So
yeah, I think in the rule set it was technically you lock in your teams and moveset, and then you see your opponents. But
okay, or maybe they just had it. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe they had that. However, there's no way to actually see what you had before, unless you got streamed us.
Yeah, there's no way to enforce it. So whatever the rules are for the next round, they just have to define the rules more clearly.
Yeah. I think it would be pretty good.
It was super surprising seeing the Ferrothorn with both Thunder and Flash Cannon, though.
That was a weird pick, I think. I don't see a situation where like it would be beneficial.
Okay, great. And then, so CCO, since you have to battle next or in coming days, how are you feeling about?
Hello?
Oh, perfect. Okay, Jeff.
Yeah, go talk to Jeff
Man of
first.
the hour, 3-0 on stream.
Solid.
So walk us through it, because to be honest, I know we talked about beforehand. You thought their lineup was really tough against yours.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I did the simulations, and I knew that Skunk Tank, Ferrothorn, and Quagsire were good against my team because it beats each of them beats 4 out of the 6 mods in my team. So, but the thing was, he only brought 2 out of the 3 each battle, so that was okay with me. But I would like to thank Jack, Simply Moxie, because the day before, well, yesterday, he proposed that we practice beforehand, as in like we would be each other's Portugal opponent and just play their team, and then we just stress test the team, and then we just like analyze and identify like what are the safe switches and whatnot, and how to actually like beat the opposing team. So thanks to Jack, it allowed me to find out that Knocked Owl was really good.
Yeah, Knocked Out was absolutely destroying everyone.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
And what was Jack coaching you at all while in battle?
I don't think so.
He's not gonna say. So you can give us the honest truth.
Sorry?
You can get. So, were you guys talking at all during the battle, or was it pretty silent? In any of the battles?
Nah. They gave me the silent treatment.
But
Hey,
it worked out okay.
What we did to Noah last time.
Yeah, but how was your heart racing on that last and third and final match? Hypno versus Knocked Out. You're trying to go for the farm down.
No.
Or did you know you were
usually, if I'm ahead by 2 games, game 3 is pretty chill for me.
Okay, because it was very close.
So I was okay with even losing that match because I was already satisfied that I won.
Yeah, that point is going to be crucial though, because it's not Sylph and like you're not trying to just win out the best of 3. Like those points were actually very crucial.
Yeah. Are we ahead by 1 now?
No, we're tied.
It's 9-9. So with 2 matches left.
So that 3-0 was clutch because we got 3-0 the very next set.
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to get a better phone.
It's all good. It's already good that he's here. Well, props to that.
Oh, I have a question. So I think it was either game 2 or 3 during my team selection and how I selected Wishcash. Did you guys make any comments towards that?
I think me and Chas were focusing on talking
okay.
from the game 1, so we didn't see that actually.
Oh, what? I left it on for like at least 3 minutes for you to comment on that.
Damn. Okay.
Just to show that like we were considering it.
I think once you saw that the Ferrothorn had no power hip, right? Like it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
that was a really interesting moveset. We just discussed about how there was really no reason to be running that kind of moveset.
Right?
I can't find a reason to run that. Unless you know your opponent has no like Mud Boy or no water types. But obviously that wasn't the case here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, guys. Very good battles. Really entertaining stream. I think a lot of people had a lot of fun, and we're looking forward to seeing the results of the last 2. And best of luck, CCO and very cool guy who's hopefully listening in. And yeah, we'll see who advances. And either way, I think it's going to be a really fantastic finals. And on Sunday afternoon, North American time, and then basically early evening in Europe will be, and yeah, I guess in the Middle East as well. And it'll be Israel versus USA. So that should be a really entertaining one. I think they're doing 5, the same amount as us, so it should be pretty cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
Well, thank you very much, everyone, and great stream.
Yep. See you, everyone.